Before we look ahead to the offseason for the Broncos, let's take a look back since we haven't talked to you since that AFC Championship game. Want to get your thoughts on everything. Obviously, the fourth down, Sean's decision to go for it. The play, he said that's what irked him the most after thinking about it was that play. And just would the Broncos be in the Super Bowl if Bo Nix didn't get hurt? What were your thoughts on that game?
Well, the fourth down play, I mean, I thought they should kick the field goal right there. You got a quarterback that hadn't played in 2 years. You're putting the ball in his hands. I just thought go up 10-0. I know it's first quarter. The defense had been playing good, but, first quarter, I thought take the points. However, if you're going to go for it on fourth down, on that play, New England stemmed late. And, they didn't block Durden. They didn't block Milton Williams on the play. Yeah. Milton Williams came right at Stiddy on the play, and, he couldn't get anything on the ball. Throwing it to little Jordan Humphrey. But even the play, though, I couldn't figure out what the design was, where the ball was supposed – even if they blocked it up right, it was unclear where the ball was supposed to go. So if you're going to go for it on fourth down, I thought the play call itself was pretty questionable. Would they have won it with Bo Nix? Probably. Just because of the one, egregious error on the fumble by Stidham, and it led to the only touchdown by the Patriots. They just got that field position that they needed, and they converted. But, could have Bo Nix have made the same error? It could have. He didn't play. He didn't do anything like that during the season. So I would say off those two things, I think they could have easily won that game with Bo.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a bummer. And Baldy, on that play specifically, I want to ask you about this Broncos offensive line, because they've been touted for 2 years under Bo Nix as one of the best units in the league. But then it was also a similar starting five under Russell Wilson when they were not touted as such. And then I thought in the AFC Championship, they maybe didn't take advantage of their advantage against the Patriots, who had a lesser offensive line. So how do you grade that unit, who also, they look great run blocking with J.K. Dobbins, not so great when J.K. Dobbins was gone. So what's the truth? Who is this offensive line?
Well, I think, they get a lot of credit because they've won a lot of games. They've been to the playoffs.
Yeah.
They went to an AFC Championship game. They had a great win streak, and so all those things get factored in. They have not run the ball great, the last 2 years. Mm-hmm. JK was better than what we saw from Jaleel or RJ, but they have not been a powerhouse running the football. They've been a throwing team. Bo Nix has helped the run game with his scrambles and extension of plays. So, I wouldn't say that they're the best offensive line in football, but, they lose Wattenberg, they lose Powers, they lose these guys, and they replaced him with other guys, and they played pretty well. And that's a good sign that the depth is pretty good. They went all the way down to Mustafa, a third-team center at one point, late in the season. So I would say overall, it's a good group. And overall, they've been pretty healthy. McGlinchey, Quinn, Bowles, those guys have lined up basically for 2 years in a row, played just about every snap for the most part. That's always a good thing, and it's always going to get factored in.
Baldy, 13-4 AFC Championship game appearance wasn't good enough for Sean Payton to keep Joe Lombardi around. Made a couple of moves on the coaching staff, including moving on from the offensive coordinator. Were you surprised by that? And what do you think Sean wants in an offensive coordinator that isn't calling plays, because he's got that?
That's a good question. Joe was a loyal guy, in New Orleans. He got an opportunity to leave. I think he went to the Chargers. Didn't really work out good for him. But he'd been loyal to Sean. It kind of surprised me. Sean is the play caller. He's heavily involved in every part of the game planning, week in, week out. I don't know if he's just looking for a guy with newer ideas, something that can challenge him more. Sometimes like that, I think, when you lose like they lost, with a great opportunity to win, even with the backup quarterback, sometimes it might be just some innovation of ideas that somebody could bring, maybe from the college ranks. It could be how they simplify the offense so that things can be called with less wordiness, so you can get in and out of the huddle quicker. Like some of those would be ideas that maybe Sean Although I don't think anybody's going to say Sean's not a great play caller and designer of offense, but there's a lot of innovation going on out there in the league. I mean, I remember, I'm not suggesting this, but I remember when Chip Kelly came to Philly, and I remember learning how he basically structured his offense. I mean, it was extremely simple to, call plays at the line of scrimmage. Maybe too simple, but at the same time, you hear these quarterbacks and you're watching them read these scripts, and you're like, man, that's 12 seconds of just reading the play. Like, there's a lot of things that go wrong in that. So maybe it's just, I'm just spitballing here, but maybe it could be something like that.
It's a great point.
We were talking about that a little bit, that maybe they need someone more from that Davis Webb type, someone who grew up in the spread offense to fit what Bo used to do in college a little better. And along those lines, is there anything schematically or personnel trends that's really stood out to you during this playoff run? I can't get all the multiple tight end sets out of that Bears-Rams game out of my head and thinking like, boy, Denver could use some of that.
Well, that's just a trend in the league right now.
Yeah.
To 13 personnel. The Rams have been doing it all year. The Rams are the only team I know that dress 4 tight ends. Now, the Saints dress multiple fullbacks. So it's, everybody has their own little twist. But, Terrence Ferguson was their 4th tight end. When Higbee went down, he played a bigger role. But Devin Allen became a blocker, and Parkinson was a big receiving threat. The Bears played 3 tight ends a bunch. Durham Smythe was kind of a move, fullback, F-back, tight end. So it's a heavy trend. Seattle has a fullback, Robbie Oots, and then they have their tight ends that they like to play. I think we're going to see more of that. I think it forces the defense to defend an extra gap in the run game. Mm-hmm. And then from a protection standpoint, you have multiple ways to maybe max protect your quarterback, but yet still have receivers on the field. I was looking at the tight ends at Senior Bowl this week. There's a couple of them that I think that are going to get drafted and can play roles like that. That is only going to grow in this business right now.
Baldy, kind of speaking along those lines, Garrett Bowles after the season said the Broncos need to get some playmakers this offseason. So we've been talking about that a little bit. From your opinion, whether it's running back, wide receiver, tight end, whether it's in the draft or free agency or a trade, who are some guys that would make sense to come in here this offseason for the Broncos and give them that spark on offense?
Well, I mean, if you just look at the Patriots, I mean, the addition of Stephon Diggs made a huge difference. Yeah. He completely bought in. There was never a me moment with him the whole season, whether he got the ball, didn't get the ball. Caught a huge touchdown pass in the divisional round against Houston, which was really, which was a difficult catch. But he was a veteran guy. I mean, look, if there's a chance, I don't know what A.J. Brown's status is in Philadelphia. It doesn't, it looks like it could be tenuous at best. We don't, they just got the offense coordinator thing figured out. So I'm sure those guys don't want to lose AJ, but there does just seem to be some friction. But if a guy like AJ Brown became available, you'd be crazy not to investigate, to see just what the compensation is, what the salary is, all those kind of things. I think veteran receivers, I mean, even watching Seattle go and get Rashid Shaheed, at the trade deadline was a huge deal. To get Cooper Kupp to come in, and you saw what he did on huge 3rd down catches in the NFC Championship game on a very important drive, and basically the game-winning touchdown to get him to 31. I mean, you can't help but think like these veteran receivers. I mean, yes, Troy Franklin, Pat Bryant, these guys will be another year into the system, and maybe they flourish. But at the same time, and Cortland is a veteran guy, but you can't help but think maybe a receiver like Garrett's speaking about might be something that gets him over the hump.
Love that.
It's interesting. Is there anyone out there in Mobile that you've watched and thought, boy, that's a perfect fit for a Sean Payton offense or even a Vance Joseph defense?
Well, it's a deep draft for defensive linemen.
Yeah.
Really deep. I mean, Gabe Mack out of Illinois, defensive end. I mean, he's 6'3", 275, and he looks lean. You just don't see a lot of those guys out there. But, this Ty Montgomery from John Carroll, like, this guy was a Division I LSU recruit and was given a D1 basketball scholarship.
Wow.
And his parents, who were military parents, his mother got ill. He forwent the scholarship to LSU to play basketball, his first love, went home to help take care of his mother, and then worked his way into college football. And I just got to meet the guy at the America Bowl, saw him this week at the Senior Bowl. Like, there's something about, and I know he tested, I think he's going to test very well. But I talked to some teams who interviewed them, and they're like, he's mature beyond his years, and he's talented. I don't know how long it's going to take for him to get up to speed, and I'm not predicting he's going to be a Jackson Smith and Jigba or somebody like that, but you can't help but think this is a mature kid who's got talent that is only going to get better.
He's on my radar. I absolutely love adding that name. Baldy, final one for you. Bo Nix had that surgery a couple of weeks ago, and there's kind of been some talk. Does he need to be less of a runner, and do the Broncos need to rely on his mobility less moving forward? Do you buy into that, or do you think he should still be this dual threat quarterback?
I don't buy into it. I mean, I still don't really understand the injury, exactly how it happened. I'm not sure any of us do.
Yeah.
I mean, I've gone back and watched the play, 100 times, but he never, he lined up for 37 straight games, 38, 36 straight games, whatever, without an injury. Running, taking off, extending plays, pretty good at protecting himself. I don't think that he has to be. I mean, I do think you have to know when the play is over, when to get down. Like, that can happen to anybody that leaves the pocket. It can happen at any time, but I think it's a freak injury. I wouldn't count on that happening again. But I think it's always better if a quarterback can win as many games as he's won and run less. I just think that's just a better way to play football right now.
Yeah, that's a great point, Baldy. Tremendous insight. We look forward to seeing you down in San Francisco next week. Have a great weekend.
I'll stop by at Radio Row, guys. I'll see you out there.
Let's go. Right on,
Thanks,
Baldy.
Baldy.
We'll see you next week. The legend, Baldy, joining us there. Dre, I got to ask you about the name that he threw out, A.J. Brown. That conversation's coming up next.